most humbling part is what I shared earlier, which is your past achievements doesn't really always translate to future relevance. No matter what industry you are in, you do need to consistently upgrade, upskill, and be forward-looking so that you will always be future ready. Age is just a number. Okay, I would choose to believe that right now I'm at this sweet spot, okay, whereby I have the relevant experience to serve my clients across generations, but at the same time I can relate to people of different generations. So I'm definitely not past my prime. And to me, my prime is always evolving. And of course, taking a course like Masters, it also sends a signal to others that I'm always embracing a growth mindset.
Welcome back to another episode of White and Shine. I'm your host, Dawn, SG Budget Babe, and author of Take Back Control of Your Money. Joining me on this episode is Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Loh, the Growth Connector. Why the Growth Connector? Because I will connect you to the right solutions through my resources, networks, and ecosystem to help you experience growth and also to give you the peace of mind that you seek.
And today's episode, we are talking about mid-career reinvention. For this episode, we want to tackle the topic of how do you stay relevant or pursue growth when you're already decades into your career. So how do you grow, pivot, or reskill when you're already established and people know you, people know of you, you've already built a portfolio of your work and experience and seniority, especially when you have decades of experiences while juggling that with responsibilities at home and a sense that the world is evolving faster than ever. So in this episode, we've invited two professionals to share their own personal reinvention stories and the practical strategies that they use to help keep them relevant. We'll have them introduce themselves to you. For the first guest, we have Shirley. Shirley, would you like to introduce yourself to our guests who are not familiar with your work?
Hi, my name is Shirley. I'm a senior banker with a major financial institution, specializing in wealth accumulation, wealth preservation, and legacy planning for high net worth clients. I have a total of more than 20 over years of banking experience. And I'm also a recent graduate with the SMU Master of Science in Wealth Management.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very
so
nice.
That was your reinvention
Yes.
path. And Mickey?
Hi everyone. My name is Mickey. I'm a former sales leader and executive assistant, currently leading the regional marketing in Asia for a tech company. And I see myself as a resilient professional who experienced redundancy twice and navigated more than 10 times of organizations restructuring in my career. So thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Mickey, and very excited to hear both your stories, right, on the masters as well as the different redundancies, career reinvention, right? So we know that staying relevant in 40s, 50s, 60s at this mid-career is not just about keeping up, right? It's about staying credible in your field, being visible in the different networks that you're in, and also being valuable in a system that often prioritizes the new over the experienced. Whether you're at crossroads or you're feeling stuck in your role, this episode will present different ways to stay relevant without the need to start over from scratch. And we'd like to hear that from our two guests today. So first question, right? Opening the session today, let's go back to that moment in time where everything changed for you, right? So I think for Shirley would be making that decision to do your master's. And of course, with Mickey, transiting from that sales role to right now leading a regional team as a marketing head, right? So maybe Shirley would like to start first.
Okay, I would like to start from the industry perspective first. Singapore has long been known as a global financial hub. And what I've observed is three major trends in the past 5 years especially. Mm-hmm. Okay, the first trend is that I've noticed there is higher capital inflows. And this is especially after global events, as you know, the 2020 global pandemic and also the geopolitical tensions. This has actually resulted in more capital inflows into Singapore. The second trend, what I've also observed is in terms of how the industry has evolved in terms of AI, in terms of regulatory framework, and in terms of changing client expectations. So with AI, these days everyone can get information at the tip of their fingers, right? So as bankers, we ask ourselves, how can we further add value? The third trend I've observed is also in this phenomenal generational wealth transfer, where the first gen is going to distribute the wealth to the second gen and second to third gen. And I want to be well equipped and well positioned because I want to be a bridge across generations. And this requires me to understand the first gen and in terms of what are their motivations. So understanding this would put me in a very good edge to be able to serve their needs. And to do that, when I actually joined the program, the master's program, I'm able to interact with my classmates, and many of them are millennials, and it actually allowed me to understand them better, what are their motivations. So with all these, it actually expanded my network as well.
But when you were looking at these trends, what was the gap that you felt or saw, which you believed going for a master's would help you bridge? What made you choose to take that leap to go and pursue a master's on top of your work?
I think at that point, I was looking for more challenge in terms of combining academic rigor with industry application.
So you wanted to also unlock the academic side of things so that you could apply better. Right, that makes sense, yeah, because if you're only in the role, you wouldn't be able to bring in all that academic literature to support what you're trying to achieve. So that's great. And for Mickey, what about yourself? You didn't choose to go down the master's route or MBA route like some folks do, but you chose to pivot. And what led you to that moment? How did you make that decision?
I guess when everything changed for me, especially so to say is that redundancy happened, of course, is a shock. I have to say at the moment, pretty lost.
When was this, Mickey?
During COVID times. I would say I really loved my job at that time, really loved my job because I wouldn't stay there for more than 15 years. Yes, I was in the company for more than 15 years. I climbed the career ladder. I was hating the team. And yeah, I basically loved the work. I built that credibility, that trust with the team. And that redundancy was really a huge impact. And given that I'm the sole breadwinner of the family, so that's massive. Yeah. So I think when that hit me, I was really down for a period of time, to be honest. It's not easy. Keep on trying to push myself. What should I do next? I wasn't really sure what to do next. I did a lot of homework, researched a lot, asking myself, what do I want to do next? Yeah. So that actually hit me a lot. And I literally took a year to get to a new role. Yeah. So that 1 year is a lot of resilience and also took a lot of skill sets, like upgrading myself. I think that's helped me along the way to find a bit of my purpose and what's next.
Right. Tell us more about the stuff that you did during this 1 year to help you pivot. So it was a very deliberate decision as what we can hear. How did you upskill yourself so that you could pivot successfully and make yourself attractive as an employee?
So the very important one that I did is to brush up my LinkedIn profile. So I haven't touched my LinkedIn for like donkey years. And the first thing is I went to LinkedIn, I brush up my profile, I do research, read out others' LinkedIn, try to, learn what's the good way to position myself. And I think more or less, I find that the keywords on my LinkedIn profile triggered an interview. And that leads me to the new role I got 1 year later.
But I know you were also very active in different networking events,
yes,
right? So you were putting yourself out there.
Correct.
Deliberately, right?
Yes.
But when you went for these events, was it with the mindset that you would be looking for a potential employer, or was it really just about letting people know that I'm Mickey and this is what I do?
To be honest, it's really 50-50. I'm really very transparent to certain people that I'm looking for a job. I think at the time, a lot of people are looking for a job. So it's just a known thing, right? So that's one thing. And then second thing is I also want to broaden my network. I want to know people from all walks of life, what they're doing, different industry, what's the behavior like, what's the trends like. And then, of course, when we met people of the same like job seekers like me, then we were talking about, how's your interview? Did you have any interview? Did you get any, how many applications that you made? All these conversations just make you feel like you're not alone, right? You're not alone. So, and then you feel much better rather than you stay at home and then trying to keep on applying. So that's why I step out of it, get out of the house, and go to a lot of networking events to broaden my eyes as well.
So what do you do to pivot? For Shirley, she chose the education academic route. But for yourself, because you didn't do a master's or an MBA, how did you successfully pivot from one industry to another?
So I would say first is finding what I want to do. So I was doing sales beforehand, right? Then in the end, I know that very sure I do not want to do sales anymore. And I was thinking, okay, so what's next? What am I going to do? So I was looking for purpose that, okay, maybe the next one that I wanted to focus on is more of a support role, like back-end support role. So then I put it on my LinkedIn. I wanted to focus on business support. So that gave me the chance to actually had an interview with the VP of sales to do a business support functions for him. And that's the executive assistant role. So that pivoting gave me the chance to go to that tech firm, from an events industry to the tech firm. I would say a bit of luck, because a lot of people are also looking for job. And I think that keyword search or whatever on my LinkedIn profile or posting that I did kind of like trigger some direct hiring manager. So that could help a bit.
So it's the direct hiring manager that got in touch. It wasn't a recruiter
It's
or
direct
headhunter.
hiring.
Right?
Yeah, direct hiring.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a really like 1 year of job search.
Right. Shirley, for yourself, when you look at your peers and your colleagues, it's very easy for mid-career professionals to get comfortable and to become stagnant without realizing it, and to stop pursuing growth, especially when other responsibilities start piling on their plate. What do you see has been the biggest difference for you versus others who may not have had this realization that, hey, I'm stagnant and I want to do something. I am going to do something to reinvent myself. Because you took the actions, but what do you see is that has been the impact, the difference between you as the action taker versus those who did not take action or maybe haven't even realized that they're just stagnant?
I think for me, I've always been someone who embraces a growth mindset. So I also want to be a role model to my children in terms of always pursuing lifelong learning. And at the same time, I also find it very humbling to also realize that my past experience may not translate necessarily into future relevance. And our industry is very fast evolving. It's moving really fast. So in order to stay ahead, you really need to take that step. And instead of waiting for people to take that step, you take that step. Then you'll be the role model. You'll be the one to show others that there's always a need to be forward-looking and to be always relevant and to upskill. And then when people around you see it, they will be inspired.
How has work changed for you now that you have a master's? So do your colleagues look at you or look towards you differently? Does the boss say, hey, I'm going to give you a promotion? Any of that has changed since?
Okay, so taking up this program, I would say the main motivation is to layer on my existing skills, okay, and to be more relevant and forward-looking in terms of also technical expertise. Okay, in terms of meeting my clients, I'm able to bring in a more technical perspective for clients who are more savvy. All right. And I would say that overall, with my knowledge, you can actually enter into deeper conversations with clients and also be able to mentor others.
And Miki, we want to bring the conversation back to you also, because as you were pivoting, what is one career move, conversation, or perhaps strategy, something that completely flopped? And what did you learn from that about career reinvention that changed the course for you after?
I would say I once actually went through 7 rounds of interview, and for a new role in a completely new industry. So I think for 7 rounds, most of us would think that, you're going to get it, right? I was confident that I'm going to nail it.
This was before the EA role.
This is before the EA role, yes. So, and unfortunately enough, obviously I didn't get the role for whatever reasons. That was a tough rejection, so I would say a very difficult time to accept it, because I was literally searching for a role for a year. And when you keep on progressing in the interview until you met so many people in the interview from different departments, you thought that, okay, I'm going to get it really, really fast. That was disappointing. But then I was thinking that also kind of taught me the resilience and shift in mindset in terms of how I approach new opportunities.
Right. So don't bank on just one, even if you progress really far in. That would be the flaw that you learn.
Yes.
And after that, then you cast your net wider.
Yes.
How did you bounce back from that?
We have to move on, right? So I kind of did a bit of reflection as well. Think about it, what went wrong or which stages that could I improve on in the next round of interviews as well. So then obviously that's a lesson learned, and I keep on meeting people, talking to different people, talking to decision makers as well in terms of what kind of role they're looking for, or what are the trends now, and trying to make myself equipped with all the industry knowledge as well. So then I don't want to expect too high, so in order for me not to get disappointed, but I think it's really have an open mind. Yeah, when we meet different people.
Right.
But I'm sure you've been through really tough times. 1 year, no income, no job, and sole breadwinner, right? So thank you, really. I think you've done a great job, right, to where you are now already. Yeah, thank you. Were there any specific skill sets that you then realized that I've got a gap here, then I need to improve a bit on this? So how did you identify all of those? Through reflection, through mentorship, did you have someone to coach you along the way?
I actually don't have someone to coach me. I seek for the mentorship program after I got a permanent role. So I think those days where we started working, these kind of mentoring sessions, whatnot, doesn't come into picture. So when I got made redundant, I was actually looking for a mentoring program. So I did join the Mentoring SG. I joined the Voices of Asia as well, and some individuals mentoring session. So that is really helping me in terms of asking some questions to industry players, and then also trying to understand what are the trends happening. That actually helps. And along the way, I do seek for some mini courses to upgrade myself. And that's why I find that AI is happening, or marketing or some digital marketing is happening. So I try to learn that as well to upgrade myself at the time while waiting for a new full-time role.
And for both of you, what do you find was the hardest part about reinventing yourself at this stage of life? Maybe Shirley, you could share first, especially since you said you mingle with a lot of younger folks. It is easier to reinvent when you're younger, less so as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and even a bigger challenge when you're in your 60s. So what did you find was the hardest part?
I would say the most humbling part is what I shared earlier, which is your past achievements doesn't really always translate to future relevance. Yes.
So that realization was the hardest thing for you.
Yes. You really, no matter what industry you are in, you do need to consistently upgrade, upskill, and be forward-looking so that you will always be future ready.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying Wise and Shine so far. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and for us to continue to do this show so that you become a tad bit wiser every week, you gotta like, share, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm. But even more importantly, if you can, comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts and also some questions that you would love us to answer. Yep, now back to the show.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people tend to seek comfort in the fact that they have many years or a decade or two of experience, thinking that that would keep them safe. But as what we have seen in recent 2 years, that is not the case. And Mickey, you have also shared, in fact, you're not the first guest on our podcast who has shared 15 years and then got laid off. We've also heard similar stories, and I'm sure there are more out there. So it is, of course, hard. But for yourself then, I know you reinvented yourself after the X came down, but what did you find was the hardest part of that process? Was it in realizing that you were not prepared beforehand for it, or?
Definitely not prepared for it is one. Another thing is letting go of my comfort and identity, because you have spent so many years to build that corporate identity, and just one day it's just gone. So then you'll be asking, who am I now?
So the hardest one would really be distancing yourself from the previous identity that you have built, whether you're still in the role or you're now forced to pivot into a new role. It's letting go of what you have built in the past. Yeah, that makes sense. And it does explain why the older we get, the harder it is to reinvent ourselves. When you're in your 20s, you don't have much to let go of.
What about, there's a second X, right, that came down. Was that second X?
So the second X was actually during the executive assistant. My direct boss actually got a bit of a change in his role, that my EA role is not necessary anymore. But lucky is that the company did give me a chance to pivot to a marketing role. So that's a chance given within the company. Yeah. If that wasn't a chance, I'm gone again for a job search.
But how did they identify, or you identify, that marketing would be a potential right fit?
I guess because of my sales leadership role, where I've always been liaising with marketing team. So in a way, a lot of conversations, working relationship with the marketing team, that leads me to more or less knows what the marketing team is doing. And it's not like something that I do not know at all. So then it's more of now pivot to a marketing role. I'm more a hands-on rather than more strategic level.
Right.
Tell us more about that. Like, why do you think the company chose to let you pivot into that role instead of filling it up with someone who has just graduated or come out from a marketing agency? Like, you were starting from zero essentially. What do you think made you different that let them decide, let's go with Mickey instead of someone else?
And the timing was right. So happened that there was availability there, right?
Yes.
Not like they created the role for you.
Correct. So first is there's availability there. There's an opening there for the marketing position. Second, I would say that my attitude and my resilience, my attitude in terms of accepting more responsibility is there. I've made known to the management team that I'm open to take up the role. So that's one thing.
I think this is very relevant to a previous episode that we had talking about networking with the people in the company, right? And therefore, this then gave you that opportunity to step up.
The boosting of visibility, which
Correct.
brings me to my next question. So what steps or actions did both of you do to increase your visibility of this reinvention? So Shirley, for instance, as you went out and got your master's, and congratulations on your recent graduation, how are you communicating that to make sure that is visible and everyone, or the people who at least need to know about it, are going to see it?
For me, the differentiator is that I want to be the banker that my clients can call even beyond banking. So being visible will be able to open doors, because at the same time, for example, when I have clients who sold their properties, who do they think of? I want to be the banker of choice. So they would send the sale proceeds to me to combine with their entire portfolio. And, when they have friends to refer, who do they think of? Yeah, so these are the things that I would say is the differentiator. And I would call this a personal or rather a professional moat. So when we talk about economic moat of companies, we are talking about their durable competitive advantage, right? So when you build a professional moat, is how do you differentiate yourself? What are your strengths? And how do you amplify that? And how do you then, add value, create that value to your client and to your other stakeholders? Yeah, that's, to me, it's what visibility is about.
That process of building that visibility was through conversations, sincerity, and really over time. So over the years, they started to realize that you were more than just. And was that possible because you stayed with the same firm for...
It's also, yes, also the reason, one of
you
the
stayed
important...
20 over years in the banking and finance industry of experience. So was it the same place all along?
Currently, I'm 20 years and 9 months with the current financial institution.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the first one about 6 years. So total about 27 years of experience.
Wow. For those of you who are still thinking of job hopping in today's climate, we're going to put in the link below for an episode we did on how loyalty could be a better strategy in today's time. And 20 over years in the same employer, that is definitely commendable in today's climate. So over to Mickey, how about yourself? Because your story is also quite interesting in the sense that in your first role, when you were made redundant, they didn't think of offering you something else, right? You just let go and then you had to deal with that whole grieving process. But it was a very different story with the second time it happened, because this time you were already visible and clearly visible enough for them to think of, yeah, let's explore having Mickey go into this role instead of hiring someone who comes from that industry. So what did you do differently this time to build up your visibility that second time round?
I think it's very important for us to showcase our past achievement. Whether is it big or small, let them know that, your strength. That's one. And then on the other hand, other than the job role itself, what else can you do beyond that? Like for example, I have been always volunteering in the CSR or social activities for the company. So I'm a strong advocate of balancing work and fun, because I find that, happy staff, happy business. So I think that is something people remember me as well, not just for the role, but for the energy and the vibes and the culture that you bring to the workplace. I think that is also very important to stand out yourself. So I volunteer all this stuff. And then I think the third thing that I would think, or rather, if you were to initiate like taking new projects, taking new responsibility on top of what you're doing, I think that's good, because you are actually bringing added value to the company. So that's where the visibility is there. People say, hey, Mickey can do this, you can do this. So why not?
So we have a case for taking part in company activities, employee engagement days, in order to increase your visibility and not just dealing with the stakeholder. And I think that's an important point, because otherwise, if you're only doing your job as it is, the people we tend to interact with, honestly, are just the teams that we work with. But if we go for all these broader company stuff, that's where we get exposure to other teams. And that's where an opening in another team that we typically wouldn't work with could actually open up this opportunity, because they do think of you and they're like, I don't know whether she's going to be interested in marketing, I could ask. But from this activity, or I watched how Mickey performed in that and I love her energy. That could be an energy that is fresh for our marketing team. So that's how it happened. So there are some tips there, guys, on how to build up your visibility.
Do you think that there's going to be a need for you to reinvent? Because chances are you will probably be working for maybe another 10, 15, maybe 20 years, I don't know. And if you were to need to reinvent, how would you be wanting to reinvent yourself?
I would say for me, I have always been a continuous lifelong learner. I mean, you don't have to always make very big steps. You can take small steps, right? And this will be a lifelong journey for me. So I would say in the next 10, 15 years, I will still be growing and I will still be enriching others. But I would say in terms of growth, I would like to be able to be in a position to mentor the next generation of bankers and also show others that, well, of course, our job is very important and it's also part of our identity. But there are other important parts of life, that you could actually focus on and help others grow and succeed in a very holistic manner. Yeah, and I actually also mentor younger colleagues, especially female working mothers. So I also share practical tips on how do you balance work, juggle kids, their exams. Yeah, so you can actually have a very successful career and at the same time be there to be a coach for your children. So I would be able to share all these practical tools. And to me, that is very fulfilling because that will enrich others too.
Mickey, what about for you?
I think I will definitely be looking at reinventing myself again. I'm actually thinking of, even exploring myself to get myself relocate overseas.
Yes. That's nice. That's interesting.
Yes. So if there's a chance, if there's an opportunity, I think I would love to explore that. That's actually my 25 years old dream.
Never too late to fulfill that.
Yeah, never too late to fulfill that. That's true. So that could be one of the options. But then secondly, I also do give career mentor advice to young managers. So that's what I volunteer as well outside of the work 5-day job. So I did volunteer to give talks to young managers how they can be a better leader, what kind of questions they have right now, or what are challenges that they face right now that I could actually share my advice. So this is also something that I did off the work. Yeah.
I think a common theme or common thread really is giving back to the company, giving back to society, whether it's through mentoring or whether it's through community CSR. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah. But do any of you ever worry that people might see you as past your prime? Because I think for many people, as they start to move into their 30s, 40s, and 50s, that's what they grapple with. Like the young people, they have more energy, more time, no caregiving responsibilities yet. Yet, we're looking at you guys. So what do you think of this whole stigma that people conceive of, that when you're older and wiser, you're past your prime? And then how did you guys deal with it? How do you prove to people around you or your employers and your bosses, your clients, that you still have more to offer and I'm not past my prime?
That thought did come to my mind. After all, right, age is just a number. Okay, I would choose to believe that right now I'm at this sweet spot, okay, whereby I have the relevant experience to serve my clients across generations, but at the same time, I can relate to people of different generations. So I'm definitely not past my prime. And to me, my prime is always evolving. Yeah, because I'm always updating my personal iOS. I'm always reading about the latest market events, and I'm always kept abreast of the new trends. And of course, taking a course like Masters, it also sends a signal to others that I'm always embracing a growth mindset. And when I went through this program, it was actually very rigorous because I have to balance a full-time career, right, and family commitments,
and family,
study, coach my 3 kids. So I was given very tight timeline to multitask so many things. So because of this very tight timeline, I had to do things really quickly. So it has actually improved and enhanced my speed reading and my memory skills even further.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had to do my projects, assignments till like sometimes even midnight, 1 a.m. And then next day I have a full day of meetings. So I had to really be very strategic about my time management and do things really quickly. So I would say this has actually enhanced my processor speed. I would say my speed now would be even faster than
when you were younger.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're put into a situation where you have to adapt, you'll be surprised how much the human mind can actually be able to adapt, right? Because your brain is like a muscle, right? The capacity is being enlarged when you actually put weight on it. So when you push yourself, when you put yourself in a situation where it's not that comfortable in terms of you need to stretch, right? You actually do rise to the occasion. You actually do rise to the challenge. So this would be steps that you can take to ensure that you are always thinking on your feet and at the same time keeping your mind agile, and being always updated.
I love that framing. So it's about thinking, yes, you might think that we are past our prime, but we are actually better now than when we were in our 20s or 30s because we can do this or that more efficiently, faster, broader skills, broader experience, and communicating that. so that people don't think that you're past your prime. I love that. Minky, I see you nodding a lot. Is that also something? Is that how you're also reacting to this general concept?
Definitely, it's very important for us to look at that way. I think it's also, I personally, I also don't feel that I passed my prime. I think I'm proud to be who am I right now. I think I treat it as every new chapter as growth. Having a growth mindset is very, very important at these days of life. Yes. So yeah, and then also, let your performance and outcome speaks, right? Because that's where people then find you are valuable to the company, to what you can offer. So I think that's very important.
See, listening to you both, I had this picture come into my mind suddenly that it's not really past one's prime, even though companies do favor younger and more energetic talents, especially with the pay differences. That tend to be a bit more attractive sometimes than the mid-career professionals. But it's about evolving. Yeah. It's about evolution. It's like at different stages of the Pokemon battle, you will use different Pokemons. And the same thing goes in the career. Like a company needs people at these different stages, and it's how we communicate that worth to companies, that in how we reframe our story, how we reinvent ourselves so that we can fit into what the organization needs for different aspects of their business.
I really like the my prime is always evolving, or our prime is always, that's going to stick with me for a while.
And just to share also, in the banking industry, experience is really, really it's valuable, because when you go through 3 major market crises, which is like, for me, I have seen 2000.com, I have seen 2008 global financial crisis, and I have seen 2020 global pandemic. It takes experience to be able to handhold our clients and to really, really be there for them during all these volatility and guide them and handhold them. It takes experience and to be able to understand them. So in this industry, we would say that through these years of market cycles and experience, it is actually valuable.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing both of your stories on reinventing yourself. So if any of you are feeling stuck in your career, or you think that it might be too late, that you're past your prime, you can't reinvent yourself anymore, we hope that Shirley and Mickey's stories are inspirational and serve as points of reference for you to look at what can you do to reinvent yourself, come back stronger, and take control of that messaging of your career as you move into the next stage.
And remember that your prime is always evolving.
You really like that line.
I do.
So that brings us to an end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please send this to all of your friends, all colleagues or peers who might be feeling stuck in their career and are looking for the next stage of growth or development. My name is Dawn, and I'm joined here with Alex.
Yes, and if you're not already following us on socials as well as email, please head on down to www.thefinancialcoconut.com. Leave your email address there so that when this episode is out, you will be informed.
What else are you doing to reinvent yourself aside from listening to Wise and Shine? Let us know in the comments below, and any other topics that you'd like us to cover, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.